Well, good morning, everybody out there. We're getting ready to do a show. We've got the news coming up and weather, and then we should be ready to rock and roll. Let's see what we can talk about this morning. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Sunday and that the weather is temperate and moderate, not like all the rain in southeastern Kentucky. Oh my gosh, those poor people. What time is it anyway? 9:02. All right, we should be having some live feed here soon. I think Ken's still on the line.
I am, Doc. You need me for something, buddy?
No, I was just talking to my streaming audience.
Well, hello, streaming audience.
Hello, Ken. Everybody's waving and clapping.
Hang on.
It's amazing to see.
Can Care Clinic.
The latest from AccuWeather at the top and bottom of the hour. Only on AM 860, The Answer.
Mostly sunny and hot today. Caution advised if outside for extended periods of time with a high 95. Mainly clear tonight with a low of 81. Partly sunny tomorrow and seasonably hot with a high of 93. Plan with confidence. Download the redesigned AccuWeather app today. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm Gregory Patrick for AM 860, The Answer.
That's a catchy little tune. What do you think, Ken? You like that one?
I do. It's very mellow. I like that today.
Well, I'm Dr. Bill, your radio MD. I got Ken by my side here, and we're doing a show this morning. And we're going to talk about a few fun things like daytime napping. I'm going to tell you my take on that. We'll talk about this new bill that's supposed to reduce inflation. And by the way, I wanted to talk a little bit about the flood in southeastern Kentucky. Have you heard about that?
I have. It's terrible. People lost lives, homes, all messed up. A very big mess out there.
Well, you know, the left and the environmentalists are saying this is all climate change. And so I went and researched to see how many floods Kentucky has had over the years. And the biggest flood was in January and February of 1937. The Ohio River overtook a good part of Louisville and chased almost 200,000 people out of town. So that's the big one there. And then the rain record was in 1997. There was a big flood in 1945, and the Ohio River got up to 4th Street. The Great Winter Flood of December 1978, which I was around for, in Frankfort, the city of Frankfort, which is the capital of Kentucky, was cut off. And then in 1913, there was another record rainfall for the state, and that caused some major flooding. So we also had a big flood in 64 and in 89. Now, I remember the one in 64 because I was still in school, and you couldn't get down to the river, to River Road. I mean, you were like 15 or 20 blocks away from it. The water came up so high. And so there was also big floods in 1883 and So this is in 1884 heavy rains and flooding too. So this is not new, Ken, and I'm not quite sure how we got to the point where every climatic event is now due to global warming caused by humanoids. And not that I'm opposed to getting off of fossil fuel, as you know. I mean, when we burn fossil fuel, as I've explained before, the byproducts are carbon dioxide and water. And we got plenty of water. I don't think we need any more water. We need to impound it and redistribute it properly, but I don't think we need to produce any more water. You know how water got to the planet to begin with, Ken?
I believe that was comets.
Yeah, comets. You got it, buddy. And also when you burn fossil fuel, carbon-based fuel, including sugar, glucose in our blood, in our bodies, we give off water and carbon dioxide. So, and water is the biggest greenhouse, most offensive greenhouse gas. So, at any rate, I don't have a problem with getting off of fossil fuel, but let's not blame everything on that. I saw a research paper from, where was it? I think it was Sydney or Melbourne. One of the universities down in Australia, and they were doing research on what ended ice ages, and it's the tilting of the axis of the Earth, which is really kind of fascinating. But apparently the Earth wobbles, and so it goes, as it spins around, it also wobbles, and so it moves. The poles rotate back and forth a little bit. And when the Earth is more, the northern pole is more pointed towards the sun, we have more ice melting. And this is not new. This has been going on for hundreds of millions of years. And they have been able to trace this back using radioisotopes and seabed sediment and even stalagmites and the things that hang down in caves. They've been able to use those to gauge ice ages, and so I don't think there's anything really earth-shaking going on. But you would think it was the end of the world. I thought we were going to end in 2011 because of global warming, but we didn't. So I guess we have to pick a new date, Ken.
2040. That's the new date.
2040 is the new date.
2040. I was just reading about this over the weekend. 2040. MIT did a study back in the 70s. They, put in every conceivable climate and military and all kinds of different scenarios that the world would end, and the answer came out 2040. And now some scientists have gone back to that study to try to disprove it, and they say, no, it looks pretty good. 2040 is the end. So that's it.
All right, so if you got to do anything, hurry up and get it done.
Don't take out any really long loans.
Don't take out long loans. Get some short-term loans. And
maybe you should. What do we care? We'll all be dead. So
yeah,
off the loan is going to be one of my, not really a priority with me at that point.
Well, you should spend that cash in a hurry, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, by the way, you better get out and see the Grand Canyon, because it's going to be gone in 50 million years, so hurry up and get out there before.
Oh, 50 million, huh?
50 million, yeah. Oh, well. What are you going to do? At any rate, so, I told you I sold the building, but we're leasing back. We're going to stay there. And nice group of people, a nice group of doctors. From what I can tell, they said, well, we're not going to be that busy. And as you know, we have a huge office, Ken. It's like 5,000 square feet, X-ray lab and everything else, ultrasound.
One-stop shop, that's right.
And your one-stop body shop. We can take, we'll fix dents if you need it.
I got plenty of those.
Yeah, I got a couple too. And so at any rate, they wanted 3 or 4 exam rooms. And I said, sure. And, I had so much junk in there. So the last several days I've been cleaning out and mopping and dusting and moving furniture around and getting an exam table set up. And I'm going to go in and hang some pictures today in the exam rooms, because over the years, as we skinnied down the practice, a lot of these rooms just became storage areas. I think I found a dead roach from 1949 in there, but I'm not sure. He didn't have a date on him, but I'm guessing he'd been there a while. At any rate, we've got we've got to get this straightened up, and I'm looking forward to having some other doctors in the building. It'd be nice to have someone other than me and my wife. Give me a little buffer from her. At any rate, they've got a MBA that's their practice manager, and he owns part of the practice. And I'm thinking, hell, maybe I can get him to take my practice on. I'll send her, I'll give her the boot. What do you think? Is that wrong?
Well, yes, I would say it's wrong. I don't like it. Sometimes she sees me, so yes, it's wrong.
Yeah. Well, I'll let her stay then, just for you, because I know you'd rather look at her than me, of course.
Oh, no, not at all.
She is a little cutie. She is a little cutie, I'll say that. She's my little.
Great, she really is.
She's my little pistol. I love her to death.
She got me doing some breathing exercises that I still do every day. So
does it help? Do you do it between cigarettes or before or after a drink?
That's right. I try to squeeze them in between smokes.
All right. Well, here's the thing. Do you take a daytime nap? That's what I want to know.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, there was a study that came out of Cleveland Clinic not too long ago. And this one doctor said he correlated an increase in dementia with daytime napping. Now, it wasn't a really good study. The confounders were not well explained, and it doesn't really tell you whether or not these people were pre-dementia or that they had mild dementia and that they were napping because that's part of the dementia process. But I looked at some studies from years ago, and there's 3 or 4 studies out there that have been done on daytime napping. And it actually says that a short nap is favorable for consolidation of procedural memory. So you say, what is procedural memory? Well, I'm going to tell you. Procedural memory is the memory you have for motor skills. And then cognitive memory is the memory you have for directions and names and dates. And so they looked at both of these, and the procedural skills really did benefit from a short nap, 30 to 60 minutes. And apparently stage 2 sleep is where we process and work out the procedural memory. So the difference between procedural and cognitive memory is you may not have ridden a bike for several years, Ken, but you could jump on it, and if you had learned as a kid, you would just automatically know how to ride that bike without even thinking about it.
Sure, you're just a little rusty. You bounce back, and you're fine.
Yeah. It's just a little coordination, and it's subliminal. It's not really in your conscious brain. It's something that is subconscious. It's kind of like hunger and thirst, and these are functions that we call vegetative functions, and motor skills are kind of related in the brain to that. But now cognitive skills are, you remember how to ride your bike just automatically, and so you ride to the park. But the directions to the park, now that's cognitive. So you have to have 2 separate parts of the brain that function for you to jump on your bike and ride to the park. You got it?
Absolutely.
All right. So that's the story here. Now, what about half night versus a whole night's sleep? I get a lot of patients that come in and they say, I'm only sleeping 5 hours a night. Of course, that's baloney because a lot of them are taking 2-hour naps during the day. So they're actually getting 7 to 8 hours sleep a day. They just don't want to count that daytime nap, and they want to stay asleep at night longer. And so there was a study done, and it looked at whether or not an actual half a night's sleep affected that motor memory, those motor skills, compared to a full night's sleep. No, it didn't. There was no difference as long as you got stage 2 sleep in there. And there's different stages of sleep. There's REM sleep, and there's stage 4 and all these. And I'm not a sleep expert, but suffice it to say that you don't need a whole night's sleep to be highly functional and to remember the motor skills that you need to get through the day, like if you're a carpenter or a doctor doing procedures, or Ken at the switchboard there who keeps forgetting which buttons to push.
Well, sometimes I nap.
Sometimes he naps while he's at the control panel.
That's right.
Which is good.
Down a button and you go off the air.
Which is good because when he wakes up, he remembers, oh, crap, Handelman's still on. I got to go to another show.
No, I find your show absolutely stimulating. I love your show. I wouldn't miss it even if I were just sitting out there in a car somewhere. I would be listening to it. That's how much I enjoy listening to you tell me things.
I think you're kind of cute too. But
now, I nap about 45 minutes a day. Now, I have, I'm a glutton for punishment, so I have 2 jobs. And in between, I take a little nap. But I get about 5 hours overnight. And I always feel fine. So I'm doing okay then, right?
I think so. And I sleep about 5 to 7 hours a night, and then I take a nap in the afternoon. Now, I do take my antidepressant, which probably helps me sleep a little bit more than I would normally, because before antidepressants, I only slept 5 or 6 hours a night. Now I do about, I'm going to say about 7, and I'm up. And then a 30 to 60-minute nap in the afternoon when the wife will let me, and I have to get permission. What are you doing? Get up, we've got work, there's patients. Oh my God. So
now that changes with age, correct? I mean, how much sleep you need. When I was a teenager, I used to have to sleep all the time for some reason.
Well, I think when you're an adolescent and you hit puberty, there's a lot of hormonal changes that go on and growth spurts. And you do need more sleep as a teenager. But as an adult, I mean, by the way, I've been napping since I was a baby in the afternoon. And I've gotten in so much trouble. I've gotten in trouble at school. When I was in my residency and fellowship, I got yelled at by the chief resident. Handelman, you're sleeping through the lecture. And I said, well, it's 1 o'clock, I've eaten, it's nap time. This is a wonderful place to nap because this guy's boring as crap. And so she kind of left me alone. She said, just don't snore. I said, well, if I snore, just nudge me. Oh, God, I can't help myself sometimes. I'm just terrible.
But the Mexican siesta is time tested,
Yeah, and I think that a short nap is a good thing during the day, and you'll wake up refreshed, and you will also have a little better motor function, so that if you do want to jump on your bicycle and ride, you're going to be more likely not to fall than if you had taken a bike ride without your nap. So that's always a good thing. And I think
I've always admired dogs for their ability. Because when I wake up, I don't care what time of day it is or how long I've slept. You're kind of groggy for a couple minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Dogs, on the other hand, can go from a dead sleep to 100% in the blink of an eye. And I've always admired that about the species. Yeah. I digress a little bit here, but I just want to get that in for dogs everywhere.
And I think that dogs need a little nap too.
That's all my dog does.
Well, time is irrelevant, I'm sure, to your dog. But I would guess that that's because they have to be hyper alert for hunting and defense. And of course, we don't have to do that because we've got the U.S. Army and the Navy and the Air Force around us, so we're safe.
Speaking of defense, Doc, we have the captain on the phone. He's chiming in here today. Should we bring him in?
Oh yeah, we always let the captain in.
Captain, you there?
I am there. Hey, listen, Doc, you better be careful and tread lightly on this napping stuff. The firefighters and police rely on the power naps they take. If you don't believe me, go to a fire station and look at all those recliners sitting there.
I love it.
Yeah, no, it's a thing that's done. Because you never can get our sleep, okay? Never. And that's the way we do it.
Yeah, you got a power nap. And when you're training as a doctor, if you're in a tough residency like internal medicine or general surgery, you better learn how to power nap, especially when you're on call, or you're going to be miserable because you may be up and down all night admitting patients or doing surgery or procedures, and so it's certainly important. But I love it. I've got a recliner in the office, by the way. I bought it at Salvation Army years ago for $75. Sprayed it for lice and everything, and but it is.
Yeah, when we can't find the dock, we just look for the chair.
You just look. Yeah, the wife's got a little sensor on that thing, so she knows when I'm reclining. She'll come back there and pester me. She's got the recliner alert.
Captain, you're one of the busiest people I know. Do you nap a lot?
Yes, I do. I take cat naps in the afternoon sometimes and in the evening sometimes. You bet I do.
Yeah, because you're on all night pretty much. So.
That's right. After 10 o'clock, all bets are off.
Well, you know, the last 3 times.
Before then, yep, half an hour here, 30, 45 minutes there, that sort of thing. You bet.
The last 3 times I was in the station, Ken, there was the captain with his feet up asleep, so I can attest.
Yeah, well, I get comfortable, trust me.
No, I believe you. I believe you.
Captain, I want to see the American flag out in front of your place, even though you sold it.
Well, we've still got those little flags on our LED sign. So, these guys are very nice. I think that we'll just work in their advertising right into the PowerPoint that I have on my LED now. And we also have, by the way, we have the Canadian maple leaf on the big sign that's been out there for 20 years. So we honor both flags. Of course, the United States is number one. And the Canadians, a lot of them want to be Americans. They want to come down here and live. I told them, well, just go down to the border.
That explains why I see your clients coming in the door with hockey sticks.
Yep. I got a bunch of, there are a whole bunch of mother puckers that come in there.
Okay.
All right, have a great show. Have a great show, Doc, and I'll wave as I go by on Wednesday.
All righty, buddy. We'll see you then. Thanks for chiming in.
Thanks, Captain. Catch Captain every morning, 2 to 6, right here.
Yeah, he's the man.
Yeah. Great guy.
I think half the truckers in the country listen to him as they're driving across at night. So
yeah, there aren't a lot of radio stations anymore that have those overnight trucking shows. So
no, he has people call in from all over the country, and with the Sirius FM, and all the other technological innovations in radio and broadcasting, you can get anything anywhere.
This is pretty much absolutely certain. Yeah.
With your computer, you can get online and you can see me. And I've had people say, "Well, I went back and looked at your show, Doc, from 2021." I'm like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, it's easy. You just go to the station or go to your website and click on the vault or whatever, and you can pick up any show you want."
Yeah, I know. When you put something on the internet, it's usually there pretty much forever.
Yeah, pretty much. At any rate, so that's napping. So napping is good, and it doesn't really matter if you're healthy otherwise, whether you sleep 5 hours or 8 hours a night. You're going to come out with the same motor skills and ability to function. Now, by the way, caffeine does not impart the cognitive memory that so many people think it does. Now, I'm not sure that I believe that. This is a research project because I've used caffeine over the decades to study, and there are some studies that show that, to study medicine or whatever, and there are some research studies that have shown that caffeine does enhance your ability to take an exam. I don't know which is correct, whether it does or does not, but these studies do say that I looked at that caffeine does not have the same effect as a power nap. So there you go, Ken.
Well, I'll take the nap anytime.
Yeah, anytime. And so, speaking of napping, I was dreaming about the climate changes and whether or not we're really responsible and how quickly can we go from fossil fuel to electricity. And by the way, I don't know how we're going to generate that much electricity without using some fossil fuel until we find better technology, since the left wing is not going to embrace nuclear power. But did you know that the internal combustion engine, the development of it began in the 18th century, in the 1790s? Did you know that? I did not realize that. And that the first actual working internal combustion engine was in the 1850s, and it was made by an American. Now, there have been a lot of people over the 19th and 20th century that have worked on the internal combustion engine, and the reason that this thing is so popular, that's what our gas engines are, they're internal combustion engines, is because it's so efficient. You get so much power out of a teaspoon of gasoline, and you're not going to get that out of the wind or solar power, at least not at this stage of development. So it's really been a godsend, and it's changed our lives in so many ways. But the guy that invented this internal combustion engine back in the 1850s, he made a turbine with it. And you know what a turbine is. It's a machine that a wheel is turned by internal combustion engine or wind or water. So, water mills in the old days, you had a water mill if you had a factory of any kind. Let's say you had a milling factory and you were milling wheat into flour. You had to have some way to turn those big grindstones. And in the old days, it was done with animals walking around in a circle, hitched up to masts that were on top of the wheel and would turn that way. And then someone figured out gears and figured out how to use water to turn a water mill. You've seen those, Ken. They look like a big paddle wheel. And that is what turned the mechanisms, and that was geared, and then that would turn the grindstone, and then you could throw your wheat in there and you could make flour. So what this guy did is he said, well, why don't we use an internal combustion engine to turn the wheel, the turbine? Now we use water and wind to turn turbines to create electricity. That's what a hydroelectric dam does, is it turns the rotors, which then are geared to these big turbines, and electricity is produced by moving a magnet around a coil of copper. And so that will stimulate the copper to give up its electrons. And now we have the wind turbines, those big, humongous things that are all over the place in certain parts of the country. And the wind turns those, and then that will turn the turbine and generate electricity too. I don't know how efficient those things are, Ken, but they're getting more and more popular, especially if you go to California, you come over the hill out of San Francisco to head east, all of a sudden there's hundreds and hundreds of these huge turbines cranking away.
And they're noisy. I don't know if people, I've talked to people who live near them, and they are noisy.
Oh, yeah. Well, the wind's noisy, and then you got a big geared mechanism. Those things are huge. They're huge. So at any rate, then the internal combustion engine was developed, as you know, by various people over the past 150 years, and Daimler and Benz got together, and different people in England and the United States, and then Henry Ford figured out how to mass produce internal combustion engines, and that's the story. It took from 1850 to 1900, 1905, 1910 for us to build the infrastructure for gasoline engines to be affordable, efficient. Of course, you had to have the roads, and so there's a lot of infrastructure that goes into changing the type of energy that we rely upon, from water wheels and windmills to combustion engines, and now to electric engines. And, by the way, there was a guy that actually made a combustion engine back in the 1790s, burning hydrogen. And that is supposed to be a really good way to create energy and combustion without polluting, because all it's given off supposedly is water. Hydrogen and oxygen is water, H2O, right? You remember that from school?
That's right.
But remember, water is the number one greenhouse gas. So somebody explain to me how that's going to work. I don't think it matters what we do. We're going to pollute the huge numbers of us, whether we use electric battery cells or gasoline or hydrogen. There's going to be some pollution that we're going to have to address. So I think that we should stop and think about what we're doing before we rush headlong into another energy crisis that is going to cause us to have to stop and reflect and again reassess whether electricity is the way to go, whether batteries are the way to go.
And that's have to get to 2040, Doc, and that's it.
Well, yeah, if we can get to 2040. And by the way, I told you I did buy an electric car. I got that Hyundai Ioniq 5, and I love that thing. I just love it. And I put in my own charging station in my garage, and popped off the panel on the main breakers and took out a 30 amp and put in a 50 amp breaker and pulled wire and did it all by myself. Oh boy, that was fun. And now I just come home every week, 10 days, kick the old lady out of the garage, park my car in there and plug it in. And wake up in the morning, I'm fully charged. I'm fully refreshed. Just like having a nap. And you know,
Speaking of naps,
what would really refresh me right now?
A nap?
A little power nap. Do you think we could?
Power nap.
Do you think we could take a minute or two break here? And
we can, but I want to ask a question before we leave.
Well, that's the most important thing. By the way, the guy that won last week, I don't know why the wife has done something to the postage meter in the office. So your mugs will get there. They're going to be a little late. I've got them all packaged up. So hang tight. Who was that? I forget his name.
I can't remember either. But whoever you are, your mug's on the way.
Your mugs are on the way.
All right. 4, 2, Dr. Bill, your Radio MD coffee mugs. First person with the correct answer at 877-969-8600. That's 877-969-8600. 877-969-8600. First person with the correct answer wins. Now, it's a simple yes, simple good or bad. Are naps good for you or are naps bad for you? If you've been listening, you know the answer. First correct answer at 877-969-8600. That is today's question here with the Doc, and we'll talk to you in a little bit, Doc.
Doc. I'll be right back.
Here's the latest from the Answer News Center.
With SRN News, I'm Michael Harrington in Washington. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has confirmed she will visit 4 Asian countries this week, but is no longer making mention of a possible stop in Taiwan that has enraged China, which claims the island as its own territory. Pelosi says she's leading a congressional delegation to Singapore, Malaysia, South Korea, and Japan to discuss trade, the COVID-19 pandemic, and a variety of other issues. Wildfires fed by windy and hot conditions growing dramatically this weekend in California and Montana. Evacuation orders in place for over 100 homes. In Northern California, the fast-moving McKinney fire tore across an estimated 28 square miles just yesterday. And thousands of followers of an influential Shiite cleric have stormed into Iraq's parliament to protest government formation efforts led by their rivals. This is SRN News.
AM 860, The Answer. Listen on our website, theanswertampa.com, on 100.3 FM, W229DJ Dunedin, by downloading the Answer Tampa app, or on TuneIn or Odyssey.
Dr. Bill for Bay Area Medical, located at 6399 38th Avenue North in St. Pete, 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. Full service clinic with x-ray, heart imaging, ultrasound, stress testing, and minor surgery. We provide quality health care in a warm and friendly atmosphere. We are multilingual, well-trained, and certified. Most American insurance and new patients accepted. Bay Area Medical, home of Can Care, 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411.
Dr. Bill here. With social distancing and sheltering in place, telemedicine is here. Bay Area Medical, home of Can Care Clinic, offers telemedicine for new and established patients. You can see me without an in-office visit. Schedule an appointment at 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. When it's time for your appointment, type this web address into your cell phone or computer web browser, doxy.me/Bay Area Med. A cell phone works well and is all you really need.
For computers, you need a web camera and speakers. We'll give you this address when you call for your appointment. We accept most insurances and travel insurances. Canadians and visitors, please call your travel insurance company for an authorization number prior to the visit. Copays and deductibles apply. Self-pay rates are available. Just ask. We accept credit cards, PayPal, and Stripe. 727-384-6411. 727-384-6411. Dr. Bill here. My friends at St. Pete MRI and Sleep Diagnostics are your best choice for state-of-the-art MRI, CT, and sleep studies. Quality unsurpassed. 25 years experience makes St. Pete MRI my go-to imaging center. Self-pay rates are competitive and out-of-pocket cost a fraction of a hospital. Conveniently accessible from both sides of the bay at 750 94th Avenue North, St. Pete, near the Gandhi. 727-577-2220, 727-577-2220.
The latest from AccuWeather at the top and bottom of the hour. Only on AM 860, The Answer.
Mostly sunny and hot today. Caution advised if outside for extended periods of time with a high 95. Mainly clear tonight with a low of 81. Partly sunny tomorrow and seasonably hot with a high of 93. Plan with confidence. Download the redesigned AccuWeather app today. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm Gregory Patrick for AM 860, The Answer.
And I'm back. This is Dr. Bill. Got Ken with me. And we're doing a show. First half, we talked about the nap. And I'm back. This is Dr. Bill. We're doing a radio show here. I had to wake up from my nap. Sorry about that. Ken had to hit the music a few times to remind me that, hey, it's not over yet. Well, I got to get my money's worth. You know, I got to pay for the airtime, so I should do the second half, I guess.
You might as well. We're here, you know.
Yeah. And did you hear were you listening to the news? You know, the Pelosi was going to go to Taiwan, but now she's backing down. I guess the administration has begged her not to do that because they don't want to inflame the Chinese. And General Wu, who is he's the China's defense minister, he said there'd be severe, dire consequences, and they've said this over and over, and that the United States should not be involved in helping Taiwan become an independent country. It belongs to China. So I think that they would not do anything militarily in terms of attacking, but they certainly said they would surround the island with their boats and their planes and everything. Well, what the hell, you know, good for show anyway.
Yeah.
And
she's not going now.
No, she says she's not going now, according to the news broadcast I just heard. So, at any rate, and the Chinese are now talking about the American invasion of Asia back in 1950 with the Korean War, and then they said they had to step in because we were threatening to come into their territory, which I think MacArthur should have done, but Truman wouldn't let him. At any rate, the Democrats, they always back down until somebody comes here and bombs us, and then they got no choice, buddy. So, do we have a winner yet? Anybody calling in?
We do. It's just arriving in the studio now.
All right, hot off the press.
Mm-hmm. It's a Ked, K-E-D.
Ked?
That's the first name. Mm-hmm. From Safety Harbor, Nakanga, I think. Ked Nakanga. From Safety Harbor, from what I'm getting here. So that's way to go, Ked.
You got it, kid.
You had the right answer, and the answer was, the question was, is a nap good or bad for you, Doc?
It is good for me.
That's right. Good for me, too. So,
good
on your way.
Good for me, good for you.
We're sending two. Dr. Bill, your Radio MD coffee mugs on the way. So, watch your mail for those.
As soon as I can get the wife to turn the postage meter back on, so I can print off some stamps. Oh, she is just...
And thanks to everybody who called and tried to...
Yeah, oh my gosh. So now we've got this Inflation Reduction Act. Have you heard about this, Ken? The bill that Manchin has made a deal on. He was opposed to this initially, but I guess it's been scaled back, and he went to the Wharton Business School at UPenn, where he gets his information, and he asked them to do a study and see if it was inflationary or not, because, of course, the Republicans are saying if you pump more money out, you're going to increase inflation. Well, the Wharton Business School said it's slightly inflationary for the first 2 to 3 years, and then after that it's neutral. But the thing is this will fund Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, and expand it for 3 years. And of course, the Democrats want to expand it for a full 10-year course, which would actually be more inflationary. And as you remember, Ken, our insurance rates for private insurance and also Medicare rates went up when the Affordable Care Act came in. As I said back in 2008 and 2009 on this show, I said this is just an expansion of Medicaid, and it's going to push up the cost of medicine for all of us. Now, on the positive side, the bill does give Medicare the power to negotiate with drug companies and drug vendors to get the drugs cheaper. And this really is not that big of a deal, even though it sounds like it, because generics are already so cheap, Ken. I mean, you'd be shocked at how little we pay for the medicines that we have in our office. It just is not that expensive. But now there are a few things that are expensive. The newer drugs, the monoclonal antibodies, some of the migraine medications, some of the cancer medications, these are all very expensive because they're still on patent. And they won't be off for, a decade or two. So that might have some positive effect there, but 99% of the people that need medications, they get it. They get it either through assistance from the drug companies or from, they go take your kid with cancer to St. Jude's and everything's free. I mean, there's plenty of resources around, so this might be more showcasing and window dressing than any real benefit to the public in terms of lowering the cost of medicine. I think that this bill is going to push up insurance rates, and so that'll offset any breaks you might get from lower drug prices. That's just my theory, my take on it. And the states that have the highest jump in their inflation are Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Guess what those states make?
Pharmaceuticals?
They're the oil states.
Okay, that's right. Northeast is pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, the Northeast is pharmaceuticals. They're the oil states, so their inflationary rate has been tremendous because not only have they had to pay more for everything like all of us, but they've also seen a big drop in their income from their oil business. So what's in this bill anyway? Well, let me see if I can find that for you. I had that up here. Where did I put that? Oh, by the way, Senator Sinema from Arizona.
Yeah, she can scuttle the whole thing.
She says she may want to change the Schumer-Manchin deal, and she's not happy. Well, I guess not, because I would think that Arizona is, if not purple, leaning red, and she might want to hold on to her seat or else get something out of it. I'm sure that Manchin got something for West Virginia out of it. Maybe he'll be able to mine some more coal for a while.
Probably. It's a big coal country. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So her stance is getting the Democrats all nervous and upset, and she doesn't like secret deals. And so she's saying, well, you and, Biden, not Biden, but Schumer and Manchin cut this secret deal without telling me and without telling the Republicans. And so now the Republicans, apparently it's a vote-a-rama. Have you ever heard that term?
A what? A vote-a-rama?
Yeah, this is a procedure that the Senate has that if the bill goes to the floor, anybody can add on a rider to the bill. as long as it's germane to the bill. So now the Republicans are saying, no problem there. We'll put in some poison pills. We'll put in some riders that are germane to the bill that the Democrats are just not going to want to vote for, and so they'll turn some of the Democrats that way. This thing's not a done deal, Ken. It is not.
No, not at all.
No. And all the ballyhoo about this from the liberal press is just that so far. It's a lot of ballyhoo. So what has this thing got in it? Let me tell you. It's going to impose a 15% corporate minimum tax rate for companies with higher than $1 billion annual revenues. So that's supposed to be $313 billion that it's going to raise. Prescription drug, or that's going to hopefully bring into the IRS. Prescription drug price reform to lower prices, including Medicare negotiations, $288 billion. That's revenue. Increased tax enforcement, $124 billion. Narrow the carried interest loophole on overdue taxes, $14 billion that's supposed to bring in. And by the way, they're going to put $80 billion into the IRS to get more agents and more audits. This is. I mean, most of us are honest and we pay our taxes. Come on, what are they going to do? Chase Uber drivers around town and waiters and waitresses and say, "Hey, you're holding out on us, dude." Like you can make a whole lot of money doing that anyway.
They come after us because ours are easy.
Oh yeah. Well, you go after a billionaire, and he's going to hire a billion lawyers, and
he's already hired them to hide it. So just finding it is a chore.
You don't even have to hide it; it's already there in the tax bill. I mean, plus if you don't want to pay taxes, you just take your business offshore. And there's plenty of ways to get around this, but
that's why they come for you and me. That's what those.
Yeah, we're easy.
Yeah.
So, at any rate, so what's it going to spend money on? American Rescue Plan Act, 3 more years of the Affordable Care, $64 billion. Addressing domestic energy security and climate change, $369 billion. Deficit reduction, $306 billion. And by the way, if they extend Obamacare out, the deficit reduction is going to be much smaller than $300 billion. It's going to be like $60, $70 billion, which is pocket change nowadays. Pocket change. So, I don't know, Ken. What are these people really thinking, or is this just all?
Well, there's an election coming up.
Yeah, it's an election year, and I think it's also a possibility that they really and truly think they're doing something meaningful for the country. And I told you the story, I think I told you last week about the young left-wingers in FDR's cabinet. Did I tell you about this? They came
a little bit, yeah, I remember. Yeah, you did.
And FDR said, we got to have somebody to build our B-24s, our big bombers. And so he went to Ford and GM and said, you guys want to do this? GM said, yeah, we'll do it. And his left-wingers came to him and said, why did you give it to a Democrat? These guys are all Republicans on the board of GM. He said, we don't know how to build anything. We know how to spend money, not make it.
We don't create jobs.
We don't create jobs. We
just levy taxes.
We take tax money and make it look like we're doing something. So, and he had told his guys when they came to him in the late 30s, and they said, what happened to the New Deal? He said it didn't work in 38 and 39. He said, we're getting ready for war. We're going to war, guys. And sure enough, in 41, we were at war. And it took FDR 3 or 4 years to get the country ready emotionally and intellectually for war, because, the country was very anti-war in the 30s. I mean, we were isolationists. We did not want to go into another European war. So that's the story, Ken. And the takeaway is that this is not going to reduce inflation. It's going to actually increase it minimally for the next 2 or 3 years. So I guess we go from 7.5 to 7.75 or 8% or whatever. And you say, well, that's not a big deal. It's not a big deal to you and me, because we're at that age and stage of life where most everything we have is paid off, cars, homes, so on and so forth. But, for the young people, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. Of course, they're going to get, hopefully, some help with their medical bills, because most of the people that are on Obamacare are either chronically ill and not on Medicare, or they're Medicaid people and people who are not at that income level where they can get Medicaid, but don't have enough income to pay $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 in insurance a year. This is going to be a godsend for them. Although their deductibles are still high, but if you don't have any money, you can always negotiate your way out of it and just say, well, you can't squeeze blood out of a stone. And if you don't have the money, what are you going to do? Nothing.
That's true. Yeah. We file for bankruptcy.
Yep. But what this will do is it's going to push up the prices of energy and gasoline and oil-based products and electricity. And I see where Duke Energy actually increased their electric cost recently. I guess the cost of the natural gas has gone up, and of course the cost of operation and wages and all that. So now they're charging you and me more, Ken.
Of course, they always do. It always comes back to you and me, Don.
Yep. So make no mistake, this is not going to be a pretty thing for you and me, buddy boy. And for all you guys out there, I think you're going to see the similar results. And if they audit me again, oh well, take it all, I don't care. What am I going to do anyway? I don't know. Something's bad wrong here. How did we get to this point?
Because people don't vote. That's why.
And I also...
Could you imagine this country where everybody actually voted all the time?
Well, they'd be like India, where they had 90% turnout, but I don't think that they even speak the same language in one state to another. Their official language now is I think it's Hindi, and their unofficial language is English. And they had this big debate when they became independent: should we adopt English as our national language or Hindi? Because every state had a different language. Did you know that? So
no, that's no way to run a country, Doc.
No, they lambasted the British, but if it wasn't for the British, they wouldn't be a united nation, one country now. So at any rate, so they now have a national language, and they have a second language, which is English, and most people speak some English. And depending on what part of the country you're from, you may or may not be able to understand what they're saying. The accents are still kind of heavy, but and I have to, still with my friends in the lunchroom, I have to have them repeat things at times. With these stupid masks, it's been even worse, I'll tell you. So I was talking earlier in the show about this study out of the University of Melbourne, and revealed that ice ages over the last million years ended when the tilt angle of the Earth axis was approaching high values. So I guess the more we tilt towards the sun, is this global warming, is it really our fault? Are we really adding that much to it? I don't know, Ken. I don't know what the axis of the Earth is right now, but I'm not convinced yet. We'll see what happens.
I'm not convinced either.
I think that it's going to be a difficult few years if this bill passes, unless the Republicans can get control of the House and the Senate and undo some of this. But still, they'll need somebody in the White House who will sign the bill. And you know that if they undo all that Biden wants done, he's not going to sign any bills to redo or undo those things. I don't think. Do you?
No, I don't believe that would happen.
No. And so, is the Biden White House going to undergo a shakeup over this? I mean, is he caving in to the left too much, and his constituency is dwindling, and a lot of the people running for the House and Senate on the Democratic side don't want him campaigning for them or with them? Did you know that?
Well, with his approval ratings, I can understand that.
Yeah, and then when they ask people, when they ask the Democrats, do you think Joe Biden should run in 24? And they say, well, I'm busy with my own campaign. I can't comment on that right now. I haven't looked at that. And you ask people on the street, and most Democrats say they don't want him to run again. I don't know if it's the policies or his presentation, his obvious dementia and Parkinson's disease. I don't know the root cause of it all, but certainly the inflation and the cost of energy and the shortages of different things that have been so widely publicized. I don't know how much real impact it's had on the living standards of the United States, but certainly for those young people and those who aren't making much money, it has an impact. But I think these things are real concerns and problems of the everyday person. Whether they fully understand the economics or not is another story, but I don't think you have to be an economic genius to realize that gas prices have almost doubled in the past couple of years. So what does that mean? I mean, you still got to go to work. You still got to do. What do they want us to do? They all want us to take buses and rapid transit. And, you know, they've got all these buses going up and down the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida. They're empty. They're empty. Nobody's going to take them. They're just not going to use these buses. And they took First Avenue North and South, which run from downtown out to the beach, and they put in a bus lane. And they put in all these bus stops and these big concrete sitting areas. And you know what they're going to be good for? The bums will gather there.
Napping. Back to napping.
We're back to napping. So the show comes full circle. So
that's right.
Did I tell you I was pulling out of the driveway at the office? I think it was Wednesday. There's a bum laying under the tree. I mean, he's got his tarp spread out and his pillow and all of his earthly goods right there. I'm like, dude, this is private property. Get your butt off my property. Well, it's not my property anymore, but he didn't know that. At any rate, you know, what is this? We're just making more shelters for bums, and we're not really doing anything. You know what also is they use the bus stops for dealing drugs. Did you know that?
That I had not noticed. No.
Yeah, I was talking with the district attorney years ago, and he said, "Yeah, we're having problems with the drug dealers. They're using the bus stops to exchange drugs. So, you know, the one guy will get on a bus stop downtown, another guy will get in Midtown, and he's got the dope, and he sits down next to the guy from downtown. They make the exchange, and they get off at different spots, and you know, the police can't trail them. I mean, it's hard to do." And that's how they do it. So this is a lot of problems coming our way, and it's just this left-wing lunacy that's not stopping.
That's why I said earlier, you got to vote. Everybody's got to vote.
You got to get out and vote, and you have to stop and think about what you're voting for. And you can't look at the personalities. You have to look at the programs and the principles. That's what counts. It's not whether or not you like Biden or whether or not you like Trump. Who cares? Just get something done that's meaningful and productive. It's not inflationary. It helps us as a people, and it's good for health care and all those things that we need. I think that we'll be okay, Ken, but I think it's going to be rough for a few years.
That's 45 seconds left. 45 seconds.
That's my story. I think it's going to be rough. Well, by the way, I am Dr. Bill, and we do have a medical practice, and I'm not going anywhere, even though the building's owned by somebody else. I'm leasing back, and I'm at 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. And you know, Ken, surprisingly, the practice is still growing. I mean, here I am at this stage of life, and my practice is getting bigger.
Well, then take a nap. You're going to need it, Doc.
I'm going to go take one right now, Ken, and I love you guys, and thank everybody for being with us, and let's get out of here.
See you next week, Doc.
See you, buddy.